Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited. We have a very special guest, Laz Perez, on the call today, one of our best clients. Thank you for joining us today. What's up, man?
So, Tim, and absolutely, thank you for having me and the Peak team. So I appreciate it.
So let's dive in to a little bit about your business. Kind of who are you? What kind of real estate investing do you do? What market are you in? Just a very kind of quick snapshot of your business.
Sure. So, kind of, what our model is. We are a wholesale first model. We do some fix and flip. We do some novations. But really, our bread and butter is, how can we, get these deals at the best rate possible and move them as fast as possible. We definitely put a priority on speed. A little bit about where we're marketing our markets. We are in Florida as a whole. We dabble in Greater Atlanta, and it's good. But what we know is Florida, and within that, South Florida is something that we know very well.
Gotcha. And do you do any flipping at all, or is it really like wholesale innovations? That's it, high volume type of game.
Today, that's what it is. We certainly have done a lot of flips, and we still do some, that come our way that are just too good to say no. I try to break them though when they come my way. I'm like, I'm trying to see why I shouldn't flip it, right? But if it's like, hey, everything's stacking up, saying flip, we'll flip. We've done north of 100 flips probably in the last 3-4 years, but in the last year, I wouldn't. We've maybe done 10, right? It's been really heavily focused on the wholesale because we just think there's so much more scalability there, uh, and it's just a lot easier, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I mean 10 flips a year for some investors would be a lot. And one of the things that you do really well at is you treat this like a business.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about kind of your revenue for the business, not just with pay per click, but just in general, like what your numbers look like, what
Okay.
your org chart looks like, how many team members do you have? What does your business look like?
Yeah. So starting with the team, which is the most crucial aspect of all of this. If I said one thing on this meeting and on this call that resonates, would be you have to have an amazing team. So we are right now 5 acquisition agents, 2 disposition managers, transaction coordinator, pricing manager who's also partner, COO who's also partner. So 311. We're about 16 right now, between back office and in-house team. Regarding revenue, we're looking to hit it north of 5 million this year in fees, right? So gross profit. Um, but certainly didn't happen overnight, right? Like when you say, oh, 10 flips, that's not a lot. Like you're right. I'm definitely not jaded to that, but it's been a long time coming, right? We've been doing this now. This
Sure.
is year 7 for us, which in the wholesale space is like year 100, right?
Yeah. Yeah, understood exactly. And can you break that down? That's amazing, by the way. A really good business. It's nice to see that because a lot of wholesalers, wholesaling in particular, they don't treat it like a business. And obviously, the benefits of doing so, you can build a whole team. Are you
Yep.
still heavily involved in the day to day? Like, what you're the CEO, right, of the business? So what are you doing on a day to day? How many hours a week are you working? Is everything running without you? What's your involvement?
Yeah. So a lot is running without me. Um, but I'm still kind of in the overview of things, right? Like I'm certainly not telling an acquisition agent at this point, how they should be speaking to a seller, right? There's head of sales for that, right? But if it's a matter of kind of marketing and the overview of it, is it bringing in the amount of leads that we need? Are we getting the amount of contracts that we need on a weekly basis? Those are things I'm still heavily involved in. The direction of the brand, that's important. Another huge one for me is, how is the team communicating internally, right? Like that's something that I'm really obsessed with, which is essentially efficiency, right? But like, is there a better way for this to get through our process, right? Like that's very important. And obviously, as we talk about AI and the way that we're able to integrate that now into our business, that's huge, right? Like, are we scoring our calls? Are we scoring the lead, right? So I guess in a nutshell, I'm very much still on the overview. I still very much have a kind of pulse on the culture. That's always everything, right? And then just ways that we can create efficiencies.
Gotcha. Not to get too far off track, but there's been a lot of talk about AI phone reps. I know, Steve Trang has been coming
Yeah.
out with one. He's been talking a lot about it. I had a little bit of back and forth on Facebook with his partner about it. I was like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on? Because he said that they were handling new PPC leads with the AI phone sales system. So what are your thoughts on AI being used for new leads? And then, as an aside, like what other ways are you using AI in your business?
Yeah. So I certainly don't use them today for that. I think those things are like so holy, and you have to have, your best closers taking those. I think the first minute or two of a lead coming in is like the impression, that's like anything, right? The impression you make. So I don't do that today. And I'm not going to say that I don't subscribe to that idea, because things are changing so fast that I don't know where they will land, right? But today,
Right.
I'm not doing that. And I'm not thinking of doing that today, right? That's not. Now, the second part is, how am I using the AI today? I do think that the transcription bit of AI has gotten very, 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 very good, like close to 100% good. So we are training those models internally to then be able to create scoring systems for our calls, right? And then we're also training those. And so for me, everything is really still about, is it scoring systems from a AI transcription perspective, and then so that we can do a better job of auditing and from a quality assurance perspective. That to me right now is like my focus of it, and then it also pre-filling out lead pages based off the transcription.
What does that mean? Pre-filling out lead pages.
Yeah, so acquisition agents on the phone with a home run PPC lead, but they happen to be on the road because it's Saturday at 2 p.m. Right? As they talk to that person, there's going to be key things happening on that call. Right? What's the seller's name? What's the seller's address? And it continues to go down the fold. Right? We're working ways, which we already have, continuing to better, where those things are starting to pre-fill out the lead for the acquisition rep, so that by the time they get in front of their CRM, their lead page, they don't have to start from zero. They can kind of pick up where they left off, and you're also removing them the human error bit of it, right? Because obviously salespeople, that they're not there to, they're not detail oriented. They're there to close deals, right? So
Right. Right. Makes sense. Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to dive in a little bit more. Obviously, I have questions about PPC, but like one of the biggest factors in having success in any marketing channel is having a good sales process. You guys obviously have a good sales system down. Can you talk a little bit about what the funnel and the process looks like? So, we run the ads, right? So, um, they go to the website, they fill out the form, then what happens? Like, where does the lead go? Who gets notified? How quickly do they have to, like, what are you tracking? Can you talk a little bit about the sales process there?
yeah, absolutely. Um, so the first thing we're tracking is or is that lead taken within a certain time, right? So from the moment they fill out a web form to coming into our CRM, we have a notification process that kind of triggers the acquisition agents, which immediately they call, right? And so the first thing I'm looking at is, what's our contact rate with the leads, and if that contact rate isn't good, I can now say, well, it's not because my acquisition agents aren't getting to the lead in a set period, or because they're not touching it a set amount of times over that set period, right? So I can't blame it on them, right? Now I can maybe come to you in that instance, just for the sake of the example, and
Mm,
say, hey, my guys are calling within a certain period, and they're calling it 8 times a day, and it still has a low contact rate. Now we can say, maybe blame
lead quality.
maybe blame the lead quality, right? But we always try to start internally with like, hey, is it on us? Is it on us? Um, Now, who takes those leads? It's going to go to our tier one acquisition agents, which are kind of our main group, right? More often than not, the guys who are kind of established already, in a position where they're having success for the company. I think that's incredibly crucial. I think whoever's taking leads for your business um, is probably like the biggest like delta in my opinion, right? Because there's so many ways around that. Like I could think of, like, let's say you have a lead in a market that you know very well, right? And you have a new agent take it, and he doesn't catch that this could be a novation, right? But the other guy's like, this is an obvious novation, right? Well, dude, that you do that, that's already $40,000 difference. So to your point, yes, we make sure it goes to our acquisition agents, and then from there, it's just a matter of them working the lead, and then we have a backing quality assurance to make sure they're working their leads appropriately. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're all for bring it direct to your closers.
Yeah, gotcha. And that's a common thing among all of our top investors for sure. What's the time that you hold your reps to get to the lead when the lead comes in? How quickly are they supposed to be contacting them?
And it's like 2 minutes or less. I mean, I think it's usually 3 minutes or less, but it's 2 minutes or less. They're hounding it, man. Like, so yeah,
Yeah.
3 minutes or less, I think is right. I mean,
Is that
even that.
for every marketing channel, or is it just for PPC? Is it the kind of the same that you treat all the leads the same?
No. Well, for direct mail, it's straight up the contact rate, right? Because you're having the opportunity to answer the phones, right? For
Right.
anything like that includes some form of web form, yes, it's going to be 3 minutes or less.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your marketing mix. So you said you're, doing upwards of 5 million or close to 5 million in revenue. What's the spread? And if you don't know the exact numbers, it's okay. But like, what percent of? Can you break down like number of deals, average profit per deal from that? Like, how do you get to that number?
Yeah. So the first part is it's about 80% still direct mail for us. Um, let's call it 70% direct mail, 20% what we're doing with you guys on the PPC side. Um, and then the other 10% could be like if we do a cold call campaign, which these days we're not really doing, if we want to turn up some PPL stuff, which we're not really doing these days. So I guess it's really 80-20. It's like DM and PPC. Um,
Yep.
the second part you asked me there was, what was the second part? I'm sorry. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Just wondering how many deals you're doing a
oh, yes.
year, kind of average profit per deal. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
significantly different in direct mail versus PPC as well?
Okay, good question. So we'll do about north of, our spread's been pretty high. We'll probably do about 160 deals if I had to guess off the top, maybe a little less. Um, our spread has been very high. It's probably close to 30,000 right now. And I think that's a byproduct of being heavily focused in more major markets, right, in Florida today, because that's where disposition is still moving. Like if you would ask me 2 years ago, I would have been doing maybe a ton of deals in Pensacola. Today, I'm not, just
Right.
because I'm kind of just following where the investors are still buying, right? And they tend to be coming back to those, more dense areas. Um,
Yeah, higher
for
price
PPC
points
versus
usually lead to higher assignment fees.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Um, difference between direct mail and PPC. I will say PPC has a higher average margin for us. I think PPC also confined the type of deal that you wouldn't market to for direct mail purposes, right? Like a newer build house in a real good neighborhood. I'm probably not putting that in my DM list, but you could catch that person on PPC. Like I've gotten condos on PPC that have been huge spreads. I would never get condos on DM because I don't market the condos, right? So yeah, there's a difference, but both are great, and it's just a matter of knowing how to work both.
yeah, yeah. And that's also pretty common. I mean, a lot of our investors, we're not trying to sit here and say everyone should just only do PPC. Most people have PPC as their number two channel, and they're doing direct mail as the number one. Um, what's the thought process behind not doing cold calling? Because I know that's big, and texting is also big with a lot of people. I know that can
Yeah.
be tricky, but what led you to stop doing those and invest more in what you're currently doing?
Yes. So the first part is the tricky bit of it. I don't have to do it at this point. And anybody who's starting from scratch and you got a bootstrap, do what you got to do, right? Like
Yeah.
I literally was on a Mojo dialer when we started this company, right? So now we're at a place now where the priority is how can we scale in a sustainable way, that is a good fit for our team. And when you start looking at those things, you always have to prioritize efficiency. Cold call is not efficient, right? Having a ton of cold callers via third party vendor that you don't even know if they're even calling your data or if they're blending your data with somebody else is not great. So it's just something that we see as a beginning point, um, but not something that you want to be doing as you're getting into kind of the really scaling or bigger mode. and like you said, I mean, I don't want to have those the TCPA things, whether they're,
Yeah.
I don't know, baloney or not. I don't care. I don't want to deal with that. Quite frankly, I don't
Yeah.
think you have to
Yeah.
after a certain point.
Yep. Yeah. The business is so much easier and what we see with more larger scale operations is they really focused on efficiency, which lends itself to lead quality. They're not having to deal with a bunch of crappy leads all the time. They're doing channels that produce the highest quality leads. So, what are your thoughts on SEO and PPL, pay per lead? You said you were doing some of that. You're not right
Yeah.
now. We have investors doing those things in addition to PPC. So, what's your thought process around those?
Okay. Starting with PPL, if you're, and that's the thing with PPL is people, I don't think people realize PPL is a grind just like cold calls, because there's a whole lead dispute process that is a job within its own, right? Where it's like, this one didn't work. Let me get the dispute. Let me get this one, that one, this one. It's a lot. I would say it doesn't have the scalability that I would like, and I also have no understanding of where those leads are coming from. They could be a Facebook lead from 2 months ago that they just refreshed. I don't know, right? Now, I have had success in the past at times with PPL, but you don't know when it's going to come and when it's going to go. And then there's still a lot of work that has to be done on the back end with the whole dispute process. So certainly not a fan of it today, but if it gets, I'm always open if something happens. But today I'm not. It's not something I'm utilizing.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and then
In
SEO. I
SEO.
mean, to me, SEO is opposite, right? I think SEO is your brand. I think SEO is, I think is a long game, and I think it's a game you should be playing. As we, especially like as you're starting to scale, like you know what I mean. Like or the biggest thing that one of the biggest things that we deal with is specifically when you're doing direct mail is, oh, go look at our website, go look at our Google reviews, go look at our testimonials, right? That's how we
Right.
create conversion, right? So from an SEO perspective, I would say all day you need to be looking into that.
Yeah. You touched on brand a bunch of times here, and I think that's important. And one thing that we focus on, which I don't see a lot of other companies talk about, is brand. And maybe
Yeah.
if you're brand new, like don't worry about brand, but um, how much energy and focus do you put into your brand? Because I think a lot of investors treat this business as really just like direct marketing. Like it's just
Mhm.
transactional. Like you're putting mailers out. It doesn't matter if it says I'm Bob or ABC Company House Buyers or whatever. Like it's all about the numbers, and brand is an afterthought, or it's kind of laughable. They're thinking like billboards and the conversion is terrible. So talk to me about brand and how you think about that, and what you specifically do to manage your brand.
Sure. And I understand how people begin there because I began there, right?
Yeah,
Um,
same.
uh, for me, brand at this point is crucial. It's your reputation, right? That's really when I say brand, I'm saying reputation. We're dealing with hundreds of sellers a year, hundreds of sellers because it's not just one seller; it's the husband and the wife, right? And so maybe we're dealing with 400 or 500 sellers a year, and we're dealing with the investors who are buying off those sellers. We're dealing indirectly with the family of those investors because they're going to talk about their experience with us, right? So to me, it's incredibly crucial that there's a good experience, right? So that word continues to evolve about who we are. Um, how we do that is we do make sure that our peak brand is on everything. I know there's people who say like, "Hey, send out mailers without your thing, without your brand." I don't certainly do that. We definitely put a brand. All of our PPC has the same colorways. The peak logo is there. As we consider at some point transitioning into other things like TV and all these things, our brand will be there. Um, I understand why, once again, in the beginning, people feel a certain way, but it's another long-term play. You will get to a place if you are consistent enough and work hard enough where somebody may call you and be like, and I've had this already, be like, hey, my cousin used you guys. You know,
Yeah.
you're only going to get that if you care about your brand.
Yeah, I love that. It just makes the sale easier too. I bet it's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why you're saying you have good spreads. It's just easier all around to sell somebody and even to negotiate when they're already warmed up by the time they reach out to you because of the content you put out and your brand. So I think it's hugely
100%.
important. I'd love to dive into a little bit about PPC and then we can wrap it up here. So How much revenue do you anticipate bringing in from pay per click this year, or year to date, whatever numbers you have?
Yeah. Hoping to get close to $1 million off of it in gross. Yeah, and I think there's opportunity for it to continue to grow. We've seen our ROI only get better over time. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it right now.
Yeah. And what we've seen, we have other investors doing, seven figures a year, and they're spending roughly, low five figures a month in the business. And the ROI, typically with PPC, if you're very small, it can be 8, 10, or 20x. We've seen if you're like flipping and you get these big deals and you have a low
Mhm.
budget. But at scale, we see 3 to 5x ROI. I think you're right in line with that.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
a lot of investors would rather take a 4x ROI off $1 million than a 10x ROI off 100 grand. You're netting a lot more money at the end of the day. And that's why PPC is amazing, because you can scale it, right? We're spending a lot of money and there's only room to grow. And it really isn't that hard. You just like change the click, you just change the budget and it goes up,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So
100%. I would say that
what
too.
was the
Like,
experience? Oh, go ahead.
go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah, I was saying
No,
like
no,
when
go ahead.
people
Yeah.
talk about like super high ROIs, right? I say, hey, that's great, but like if I want to take my family for a trip for 2 weeks, I'm not answering the phone, and I still get the ROI, right? So it's always a trade off, right? Like you're going to lower your ROI, but like you said, you're going to be able to create scale, and you're probably going to have a more sustainable product.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What is your experience in the past before you started working with us? You've been with us about a year now. Did you do PPC before? What was your prior experience there?
Yes, I have tried a few different vendors, all nice people, so I won't make names, but it was okay, right? I think it's been a lot better of an experience with you guys. That's why we've been working for quite a while now, and we'll look forward to continue to work together. I would say the big difference for me has been that I feel like with you guys, we get a look inside of what's happening, right? We get to look behind the curtains, and we're part of like the relationship and the communication on what we're gonna do. With other people, it's kind of been like, "Yo, we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that." Okay, cool, and I don't even know. I didn't even could see it nor like understand it, right? I think with you guys and dealing with Tyler, so shout out to him. It's been like we're gonna simplify this. We're gonna do all the dirty work on the back end, but talk to me about what's happening, and we're gonna work off that, right? And that's been huge.
Yeah, the reason we set it up that way is, we found that like it really is a team effort to make. It's not like we just do everything. Like we ask some things of our clients, either whether it's sending us content or testimonials, or most importantly, giving us feedback on lead quality so that we can then go do our own audit to see, okay, like you talked about audits before, what locations are performing, and you guys are great at tracking, like what locations are performing well. Okay, you're doing the whole state, but like within that, where's the best ROI? And then we can, like you mentioned, you weren't doing Pensacola anymore. Well, most investors don't even know that information because they're not tracking it. But like
Yep.
it requires some effort on both sides. And that's why I think treating it like a partnership is how you really get long term success versus us just doing things in our silo where we really don't have the full picture, because you can't really fully optimize a campaign correctly if you don't have information about the sales, the back end, the lead quality, the assignment fees, the revenue. All that kind of stuff is very important. So you've been great on that end, and I appreciate those kind of words. Is there, before you started working with us, and you said a few other vendors, is there anything else? You have been working with us, so now you've experienced it. But like before you started working with us, you didn't know this. Is there anything that stood out to you why you chose us in particular versus another company? How did you go about making that decision?
Yeah. So first, there was I reached out to somebody who was using you guys, and he spoke very highly. And he was somebody that's hard to please. So I was like, okay, if he likes it, this should be pretty good. That's
Yeah.
first. So there was a good reference. And then just when I spoke to you guys, I can see that there's a process behind what you guys are doing, um, where communication was fast. And it seemed like there was enough people handling different aspects of things, uh, so that people have a good experience. And that's certainly been the case, whether it's talking once again with Tyler or your support team. Everybody responds in a certain time frame, and they'll tell you, hey, we'll have a response to X in 72 hours, let's just say, assuming it's a big thing, and you get the response in 72 hours or less. So I think it's just a matter of you guys are doing what you're saying you're going to do, quite frankly.
Gotcha. What was, if you could, you don't have to mention any names, but like specifically with some other agencies you worked at, what was it that you decided that was it just like the ROI wasn't there? Was it customer service, a blend of both? Like what were you disappointed at with other companies that you've hired?
Sure. I thought maybe that we were maybe just focusing on, well, the cost per lead looks good, so this must be good. Or let's just meet only once a month, and in that once a month, we'll just go over very basic things and oh, your conversion rate is X and your cost per lead is X, therefore it has to be good. And it's like, wait, hold on. Let me explain to you why it's not good, because I get that, but all these people just want to talk to Open Door. Like, this is not a good lead, right? Or just as a sake of an example, right? Or all these people are just calling me because they think I'm the property appraiser, right? So it's like with other people, I didn't feel like we were going deep enough to the root of whatever we had to solve for. And with you guys, we do that. Like with Tyler, I have conversations that are a lot more deep in that regard. Like, well, what if we move this market out? Yeah, we'll lose this, but look at this market, look at the ROI on this market. And then we're like, hey, that's a no-brainer, dude. Let's just turn that off, double here. Like, those are the conversations I want to have, and I'm having more of that with you guys. It's more strategy.
And we can do that because, Tyler has flipped homes. Like, I've had a wholesaling business for 10 years. Like, we know the business, so we know what actually matters. It's not just hiring a generic. A lot of people will run ads, but there's a difference between running ads and being able to like build a successful funnel in our business, right?
Yep.
So yeah, 100% makes sense. We talk to a lot of leads who are, they say they're interested in pay-per-click. Maybe they've watched, a video like this or someone else talking about how PPC is amazing. But they're very hesitant and indecisive about starting, concerned that it's too expensive. They can't afford it. Maybe they've been burned by agencies in the past, or if they haven't been burned, they know somebody who has. Like, everybody knows someone who's had. So, everybody says great things on social media and like puts out great testimonials. Like, it's not hard to get those. So what would you say to, I guess, a couple questions within that. One, how do you, for you, make the decision to pull the trigger on somebody versus just kind of being indecisive about it and maybe just holding off because you're a little bit worried?
Yeah, so I would look internally at your structure and your business and say, hey, are you in a position where if a lead comes in at 7:50 at night, you're going to call it in 2 minutes or less, or 3 minutes, or you're going to call it fast? Are you going to answer? Are you comfortable doing that? Or is your acquisition team comfortable doing that? Because if you're new, you got to do that, right? And if you're prepared to do that and you are committed to like answering the calls and you are committed to following an effective sales process, you will be fine, right? But people need to like look internal and ask themselves, are they ready for that, right? Because in cold call, and I always say this, if you're doing cold call or you're doing text message, you can afford to strike out because it's like a $2 lead, right? You cannot afford to strike out here. And if you strike out and they call me after they call you, I'm going to lock up the deal and you're going to lose the lead because you're playing with real people who are taking this serious. So I would just say it works. It's good. But you need to have internally a process that you're ready for to handle it.
How do you define an effective sales process? Like, let's say I've just been doing cold calling. I made some money. I'm doing well. And I want to get into PPC. I've saw some videos of Tim, or I've heard a podcast to say, oh, you need to get to the leads very quickly. Okay, but like, can we dive a little deeper into that? Like, to you, what is the objective measurement of, okay, this person has an effective enough sales process to do PPC?
You have a CRM that is receiving that lead. You have a process for that CRM to notify you or your team to call that lead in a specific time frame. They're calling within that specific time frame, and they're following.
Which you think should be 5 minutes or less, or an hour or less?
Hour or less is insane. No, 5 minutes or less. 5 minutes or less.
Okay.
My opinion. I mean, what you could lose is so significant that yes, it shouldn't be 5 minutes or less. And don't get me wrong, if a lead comes in at 6:50 in the morning, I don't have nobody who's calling that lead at 6:54. Like, I'm talking about within time frames that are potentially you're available, right?
Hmm.
Um, Once you receive that lead, there should be an effective process, a script that you're following to take them through, take them to the finish line. We use a process offer call script, and if you have that, you can then start working off of that. But you need to, at the very least, in my opinion, have that. You can't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be like, hey, I'm flipping my own house. I'm in a house that I'm flipping. I just got a call. Run outside. Run outside. It may work for a little bit, but it's not. You're not going to be hitting it like at 100% if that's how you're doing it.
Gotcha. So one man shows, let's say they are doing it themselves, the whole process. Do you think they shouldn't be doing PPC or what? Because they can't do everything at once, right? Like they
Yeah,
can't get back to the leads all the time if they're on an appointment or something.
yeah. I think they certainly can. I'm not saying, and I know people who work those type of models, and they're very profitable. There's days where I'm like, man, that model sounds good, right?
Yeah.
It's just you need to take it like at the end of the day, you just got to treat it like you said, like a business, like a professional. Like if you were a financial advisor and one of your clients called you, who was one of your big clients, you would always answer the phone, right? Because that's your big client, right? It's the same logic with us. Like if you get one of these calls, and especially in the beginning, I'm just like, if you get one of these calls and you're in the beginning stage and you want to build something and you're eating breakfast, you're gonna have to get up and answer that call. That's my logic, right? That's just how I see it. So you have to really be able to prioritize the leads. That
Yep.
being said, there's good
Understood.
money to be made if you do that. It's just I don't want to make it all bad, right? It's really good. Just got to take it serious.
What do you do for leads that come in after hours? So, let's say after 6 p.m. on a weekday or weekends. We get that question a lot of what,
Yeah.
what that kind of process should be for PPC leads specifically.
Um, if it, we'll try to call it by the next day, first thing, if it's not answered, and then
9
from
a.m.,
there,
8
yeah,
a.m.
and then we'll have a lead manager call it maybe 6 or 7 times within that time frame that day. So if we don't answer something, then it will be a lead manager who now is trying to get them on the phone, and then she's then transferring immediately back to the acquisition manager.
Okay, so the lead manager calls, and then what? Once they pick up, she just literally doing a live transfer on the phone, or is this how does that work?
Hey, is this Tim? This is Tim. Tim, you filled out this form? Great. Tim, are you still looking to get an offer right now? I absolutely am. Give me 1 second. One of my
Got it.
home buying specialists just came through the door. I'm gonna transfer you over.
Gotcha. Do you do also texts within that same day, or is it mainly just phone calls as well?
Mainly phone calls. I'm trying to think if we have an SMS integration with it. No, we don't. We don't right now. Just
Gotcha.
phone
Gotcha.
calls.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Are there? Okay, so I guess that we'll wrap this up here in a minute. For investors on the fence about doing PPC, so let's say they have all these processes in place, like
Yeah.
they're good to go. Maybe it's not as dialed in as you, but it's like good enough,
Yeah.
right? But they're still hesitant about doing PPC for the reasons I mentioned. Maybe someone's gotten burned; it's too expensive. What is your thought process, or how do you think an investor should think about making that decision? Because it ends up being it's like a risk
Sure.
reward type of decision. At least the leads we talk to, they're basically doing calculations in their head, like, oh well, I'm risking this much with you guys, and it could make this, but like worst case scenario. So how do you go about making that decision? How should
Yeah.
investors think through whether they should be doing PPC from a financial investment perspective?
Yeah, they should be thinking about conversion cycles, and they should be thinking about how fast a good PPC lead can go from lead to contract, contract to close, right? PPC is one of the few things where and it's the only source where we actually promote our team. If they're hot, you try to lock them up on that first call because that's how hot they are, right? So if you're looking at PPC and you're saying, well, I think the ROI is going to be around X. First off, that ROI is going to be good already, right? Like we live in a world in wholesale where like 3x is horrible. Like go to any other industry and tell somebody, yeah, I'm putting $1 and it spits out three, and it sucks. They're going to be like, dude, like get out of here, right? So that's the first
Yeah.
part. It's good, and the second part is you're focusing on speed. You're focusing on conversion. I can have a PPC lead come in. Like by the time we started this call, there's PPC lead that would have been locked up already, right? So
Right.
that's really what you're looking for.
How do you think someone should go about deciding how much budget they should be spending? Because at the end of the day, like everything you're saying makes sense and like they need to be fast, but I think it scares people. Like they're
Yeah.
worried they're not going to be good enough, or like, man, like it's so competitive. Should I do it? I hear it's great. My cold calling system is kind of like in the shitter now because of all these rules. I
Yeah.
want to do it, but like they're scared to do it. And I'm not saying they should do it. Maybe they shouldn't, but like specifically, maybe how should they at least make the decision whether they should or shouldn't? Because so many people are on the fence about it.
Yeah. I would say go off like a 6 month outlook. And what is the amount of money that over a 6 month period you would feel comfortable spending? And then baking an ROI off of that, right? So simple numbers. Um, yeah, I'm going to spend 5,000 a month, just say for 30,000. So I'm going to be at 30,000 in 6 months. And then at 6 months, I'm going to be at let's call it a 5X because it's a lower number. But I'm going to have 150,000. Oh, that sounds great. It's a little, it's a little, in other words, I think you got to think about it in a little bit of a longer play. You will know, the good news is, and with you guys, you will know very fast if you're working if this is going to work, in my opinion, because you're going to start getting leads that are pretty good, like day 4, day 5. So you're going to be like, okay, cool. I see the sign. But from an ROI perspective, I guess if you feel comfortable with a spend for 6 months before, and then generating ROI off that, I think that's a good threshold. Now you should already start seeing promising signs prior to that, but I think a lot of people freak out a little too early with certain things, and that's not the case. They shouldn't do that.
So how could someone like reduce their risk? So let's say because again, a lot of people just don't trust PPC companies for a good reason. And people have been burned, like yourself.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of bad reviews, and people come to us and this and that. But like, how does someone reduce the risk that the agency they're going to hire isn't going to screw them over? I guess ultimately, because everything you're saying is great, but like it's only if they believe what you're saying and what I'm saying, and they trust
Yeah.
us that we're going to deliver. And a lot of people don't, and that's fair. I get it.
Yeah.
But like you said, maybe people don't want to wait. Like if an agency sucks, they don't want to realize
Yeah.
that month 6 with the 30
Yeah.
grand in
Yeah.
the
No,
hole,
no, no.
right?
Yeah, you'll know before that, right? You'll know just based off how much are they making changes? Are they speaking to you? Are they, hey, how can we better this? Or do they feel as invested as you do? I would say, like, I knew with you guys very quick that okay, there's something good here because of that, because there was so much back and forth about things. Um, so you're looking for somebody who feels as invested in your business as you do. Um, and obviously to know that off without any, it's tough. You kind of have to go search. I mean, if you're hearing this, you're probably headed in the right direction, because I would certainly recommend to do it with Tim and his team. But you're looking for somebody who's asking questions and cares as much as you do.
Okay, gotcha. So it's lead quality, let's say strength of communication, right?
Yeah,
Or so let's say we're looking
very
in the
important.
first 30
Yeah.
days. So if you're so I'm just trying to like I agree with you. You should have 6 month budget reserved, but
Mhm.
for somebody who doesn't want to do it, looking at just the first 30 days. So don't think about you're risking 6 months of budget. Let's say you're
Yeah.
risking 1 or 2 months of budget. Is there anything else within that first 30 to 60 days besides lead quality, strength of communication that would be red flags or green flags for you to
Uh,
continue with an agency or cancel?
I mean, the cost per lead, right? Conversion rate, the conversion of the site are the two other things I can think of
Gotcha.
are really going to matter. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I appreciate your time here. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you or that you want to share in regards to either just real estate investing or PPC that you think would be worth other people hearing that we didn't cover today?
Yeah. I mean, just towards real estate investing, if I make things sound like you got to be perfect, perfect for that to work, that's just me thinking because of where I am today, right? And managing people. But I'll say, like, as you're starting, it's fine. Like, if you're starting or you're getting, like, yeah, bootstrap, do what you have to do. Like, go to the appointment, answer the call. Like, you're a transaction coordinator. You're also disposition manager. Like, embrace it. You're going to wear a lot of hats. But as you grow and you scale, you need to start thinking about which of these hats is it better for me to give to somebody else, because they're just not my superpower. And you'll notice the more you continue to scale, the more things are not your superpower. And you're just going to continue to find great people. And at the end of the day, like any business, the core of this is amazing people, amazing people. Like, you need that. You need that. You need that.
What would your advice be to someone? Because our ideal client, right? People that we work with, they're not really newbies. They're people. We call them mom and pop investors, where they're doing things by themselves. They're doing a deal or two a month. They're making low six figures a year. What
Mhm.
would your advice be to them to get towards going on the path towards getting to where you are, assuming that's what they want?
Yeah, I for most people, it would be hire a really good acquisition manager, and that takes time. I've also heard of models where the owner of the company is just a beast at acquisitions, so he rather stay in acquisitions and hire somebody else. So it's not always one shoe fits all, but I think you need to hire the drivers for money in your business, which more often than not are the acquisition agents. Um, so I would say that's a big one. Like, you know, there's really, really good people out there who can do acquisitions because they're just, that's their PI, that's their mindset, that's what they want to do. And those people can drive your business to a whole different place.
Do you think someone should hire an acquisition rep before they hire an executive assistant or an admin? Or what's the priority order for those roles?
Um, the way I did it was, yeah, I hired an acquisition manager. I know today there's like VAs that can get are very easy to get. Um, Yeah, I mean, you could do both. I mean, both are important, but to me, acquisition agent, you hire another acquisition agent and he's a rock star or she's a rock star, they're going to put pressure on the organization. I need more leads. I need more good leads. Next thing you know, that person can do $1 million in revenue for your business, and then they're doing very good. And now you start saying, "Whoa, hold on. What if we have a good amount of these, people?" Uh, so for me, it's like if you want to now, that's if this is what you want. I know people who do 3, 4 deals a month as a solo team, and they're living a great life, right?
Right.
But if you're looking to drive revenue, I think you need sales. You need a sales team.
I love that. I love that. This is great. I appreciate you being so open about your business and everything. I think this will help a lot of people and will help us especially. And I'll be in touch as well. In the future, hopefully we can. Oh, I guess the last question I have here, while I have you here, tech stack. That's not a good segue, but like tech stack. Maybe CRMs that you use or that you recommend. Any other softwares you think have been really helpful in making your business money?
Yeah. So I'm a dinosaur and I still use Podio.
Yep.
So I
Most of our
love
clients do,
Podio.
by the way. It's the number one. That's the number one. People don't talk about it, but Podio is the number one used CRM among all of our clients. So,
Cool,
yeah,
cool. So I use CRM, Podio. I love it. I think it's very easy to do, integration. So I would say Podio, Zapier, Asana, Asana for kind of just keeping internal things organized with the company. Like it's more of a meetings, more meeting based, more, hey, we have targets, goals, rocks. So that Zapier, obviously for anything API related. Um, Data, right? So you're going to need some form of backend data sets, whether it's batch, whether it's Audantic, PropStream, all these things are good. And then we do a lot of now we're doing a lot of with the Chat GPT stuff, and then smartphone. That's kind of like our tech stack for now. Trying to think what else. There's other little
internal. Do
things.
you use Slack internal or like
Oh
Microsoft
yes,
Teams
sorry,
or?
sorry. Slack is up there with Podio. A lot of our integrations, notification processes are via Slack. A lot of there's a lot of APIs between the channels and the CRM. Team wins, culture, all that is via Slack. And then Plecto is another good one that we use for KPIs.
Plecto, got it. Direct mail vendors. Do you do everything in house or any other vendors besides us that you work with? You want to shout out?
Yes, Direct One. I'll give them a shout out. They're here in Orlando, but I think they do nationwide direct mail. Very professional. Um, I've heard horror stories where people say that they don't think their mailers are going out, and only a percentage of them are. I test them every once in a while, where I'll throw like one of our addresses in the bucket. It always gets there, so I think they're doing a really good job, very professional, and very well priced relative to like the industry, to what they can control, right? Because they can't control stamps. They're excellent. Um, yeah, those are the big ones. Those are the big vendors. Other people that are amazing, but I can't think of them right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on today. It's been amazing. We'll have you on again. Maybe in a year from now, we can, once you cross the seven figures for the year, maybe we'll have you back on. But anyway, thanks a lot. I appreciate you hopping on today, and it's been great. And look forward to continue work with you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. It's been a pleasure, and happy I could help.
Yes. Take care, man. See ya.
All right.